All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we're going to talk about Tua Tagovailoa and him returning to practice, or set to practice today. And he's hopeful to play, wants to play on Sunday when the Dolphins take on the Cardinals. So I wanted to get into what Mike McDaniel had to say, what he had to say on his return. So we have Nelson, who is the host of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, in the chat saying, you hear the news about Chiefs getting D-Hop. Well, we did touch upon it at the start of the show because I was originally going to just talk about Cooper Kupp and his trade rumors, but then I woke up this morning and I saw that the Chiefs acquired D-Hop, so we had to talk about that. So it was a combination of those two things at the top. But I do like the trade. Like I said, I think it's a low risk, high reward. If D-Hop can come in, better quarterback play than what he was getting over in Tennessee. Even though Mahomes hasn't been great, I do think he could help the Chiefs out. So, all right, so let's get into what Mike McDaniel and Tua had to say on Tua coming back. So, Mike McDaniel said, our plan is to start him practicing on Wednesday. The clearing of the league's concussion protocol doesn't come until after some of the activity, but we're doing so in the hope of everything going well so that he can play Sunday. But that is to be determined. The reason he's coming back now is because the medical experts have deemed it's safe for him to return, so I don't mess with timelines or try to overcook or forecast. You lean on experts on matters of the career, and that's what we're doing here. Tua is very excited about his return to action, but he's also just frustrated. He was frustrated watching the games on the sidelines because the Dolphins have not been great. It has not been great for them. And he said, what I do know is that the team did what was best in the interest of me and that I'm a competitor. And given what the doctors have told me, that having a substantial amount of time to rest and recover would have been good for me, I think they did what was best in terms of protecting myself from myself. Now, they asked him if he was going to wear a Guardian cap, and he said he's not going to. I mean, he answered that right away. No hesitation. He said no, and he said it's a personal choice, which, again, for a lot of us, we would like to have seen him maybe wear it just because of the history. But he's not going to. He's dealt with several concussions over the course of his career. I mean, going back to 2022, the play against the Bills, the Bengals, where he got taken off the field, was stretchered off the field, and then you had the game against the Packers as well. But last year wasn't a problem, but then it happened again when he took off for a first down and ran into Damar Hamlin, and then that was his other concussion. Nelson also says, on the topic of Tua, how do you feel about him not wanting to wear a Guardian cap? Yeah, I do kind of wish he would. Because again, like I said, because of the injury history, but do you think it's because he doesn't want to feel weak? I'm going to say no, because I don't really know what his thought process is on that. I mean, look, Jonathan Taylor wears it. Jonathan Taylor's a running back. There's guys that are wearing it, so I don't really, it's just, I mean, on the surface, it looks as it's added protection. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know it doesn't really help prevent anything, but it couldn't hurt to wear it. But I don't know, and I know the media was asking him about why does he still want to play. I mean, he said he loves the game. This is what he said. I appreciate your concern. I really do. He said, I love this game, and I love it to the death of me. That's it. So he just wants to continue playing. He wants to take the risk. And then he also said, I think the brain, there's just a gray area when it comes to that. If you do know that you're going to get long-term disease from it, I just think that there's a lot of gray with it. For me, this is what I love to do. This is what makes me happy, and I'm going to do it. That's it. And then he also said, how much risk do we take when we get up in the morning to go drive to work? You can get into a car crash. Everything, I think, takes risk. So to answer that question, every time we all suit up, we've taken a risk that we can potentially get hurt, whether it's a concussion or a broken bone, anything. You get up off the bed the wrong way, you can potentially risk you spraining your ankle. There's just risk in any and everything. I'm willing to play the odds. That's it. Yeah, it's his personal choice. If he wants to keep playing, it's up to him. As much as, a lot of us probably think maybe it's best if he walks away, that's what he wants to do. He wants to keep playing. So I can't really, argue with what he says. I mean, it's up to him. It's not us going out there and playing on Sunday and playing quarterback. It's him. So you just hope for the best. But every time he drops back or any time he tries to take off with the football and run with it, you're going to want to just look away because you're afraid that he's going to get hit the wrong way and it's going to happen again. But let's just hope that's not the case. Let's just hope he's able to stay upright, doesn't take any more hits, and the Dolphins, they could possibly turn their season around because this offense, they need something because right now they are, they're struggling. They have somehow found their way to second place in the division because, we just talked about the Jets and their struggles. But the Dolphins, they can get themselves back in the conversation with Tua, and this would help Tyreek Hill. This would help Jalen Waddle because those guys really have been non-existent since Tua's gone down. Tyreek Hill had an unbelievable year last year, and that was with Tua being healthy for the whole year. So if you can get Tua back, this team is going to look a lot different. Because right now they are currently 2-4. So they got the Cardinals coming up, then they're at Buffalo against the Bills, at the Rams, home against the Raiders, home against the Patriots, at the Packers on Thanksgiving, home against the Jets, at the Texans, home against the 49ers, at the Browns, and then at the Jets. So they do got some tough games on the schedule. But I do think that with Tua, they can get themselves back in the conversation for a wild card, definitely. Because right now the teams that occupy the wild card spots are the Colts at 4-3, Broncos are at 4-3, Chargers are a half game back, Bengals 3-4, they're 1 game back. The Dolphins are 1.5 games back. So I think they could turn it around with Tua as long as he's healthy, and get themselves back in the conversation and maybe go for a wild card. But again, I can't really argue with what he said. He wants to take that risk. I think it's interesting. You don't really know who he's going to see, and the medical experts are telling him it's safe, go back out. But maybe there's some out there that probably would say no, it's not. But he loves this game and he wants to keep playing it. And the other thing too is, I didn't even bring this up, is the contract. He just signed that big contract, and be hard to walk away from that money. And the Dolphins, they put this huge investment in him. They don't want him walking away either. But if he ended up retiring, then that's a different conversation. But both sides, they want to see Tua back out there. So, again, just got to hope for the best because it's a tough situation and it's just, you don't want to see him take another hit because you have no idea, what's going to happen. We'll see. But, if he comes back and he's able to finish up the year healthy, that's great. But, we still got another half of the season to go. And, anything can happen. But we're hoping for the best. We are hoping for the best. And I know the players are definitely itching for Tua to come back because they really need something to reignite this offense. Because it's been, that Colts Dolphins game, it's just, that was a very boring game. And I took the Dolphins in that game, at least to cover. They, of course, didn't. They were covering the whole game. And then the Colts, they kicked a field goal towards the end of the game to put them up by 6. But yeah, that was some boring football. So, but yeah, they could get back into the conversation. If Tua could stay healthy and get this offense going, they could definitely make a run at a wild card spot. I think right now the Bills, I mean, they're going to run away with this division. But with Tua coming back, the Dolphins can be a team that makes the wild card. If he can stay healthy, that's what it comes down to. So, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have not done anything since he's gotten hurt. They've really been non-existent. And, you get him back and that opens up the running game too. Because the Dolphins have some good running backs on this team. Now, some of them just can't stay healthy. Like Devon Achane just cannot stay healthy. He's a very good running back, but he just cannot stay healthy. And it definitely will help the defense out knowing that they have an offense that could definitely, that could put up points. You can get your quarterback back. So, we'll see what happens. They do got some tough games coming up, and getting Tua back is big to try to get them back in the conversation of things. But yeah, see, I am more optimistic in if you get a healthy Tua back. I'm more optimistic in the Dolphins turning their season around than the Jets, which again doesn't fare well for my Jets take earlier this year or before the year started. But that's just where we're at right now. And I mean, the Dolphins, it's going to be interesting too. Like, Dolphins do turn it around and they make the playoffs, but they still don't win a playoff game. What happens to Mike McDaniel? Does he end up getting let go? Or are they going to continue on with him because, Tua got hurt? I mean, we'll see. But, we talked about the Dolphins, during the offseason and how, they got to win a playoff game. They got to go further. They can't have this, late collapse. But this year's kind of gone different just because your quarterback's been hurt. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But, McDaniel wants Tua back because if the Dolphins can do well and maybe get to the playoffs in advance, his job is safe. But we shall see. But let me know what you guys think, though, about Tua coming back. Do you think the Dolphins can turn their season around and get themselves back in the conversation with the playoffs? How do you see Tua playing? Let me know in the comments. So we're going to take our final break of the show. And then when we come back, we will talk about my power rankings for this week, my top 5 teams after week 7. And that is how we will end off the show for today. So for one final time today, stick around and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.